Welcome back, Focus Learners, to another Explainer. Today, we're tackling a topic that literally keeps CTOs awake at night, and that is legacy software modernization. If you're currently staring down an aging codebase and feeling the immense pressure to upgrade without breaking the bank or, taking your entire business offline, you are in exactly the right place. We're going to map out the absolute best vendor experts in the field for 2026.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Legacy software modernization has this very specific failure mode that almost no vendor will actually explain to you before the ink on your contract is dry. The failure mode goes a little something like this. The vendor assesses your system, discovers it's significantly more complex than their initial estimate suggested, expands the scope, entirely misses the timeline, and then delivers a new platform that took 18 months, blew through 3 times your budget, and, surprise, still doesn't actually do what the old system did.
It is a painful reality. And it brings us to the ultimate question every single decision maker has to face. What happens when you discover the system is more complex than the estimate? It's a pretty terrifying prospect if you aren't prepared for it. But thankfully, there are teams out there who have solved this exact problem.
Well, the vendors that actually manage to avoid this trap have 2 distinct things in common. First, they produce an honest, rigorous technology assessment before the modernization work begins, not halfway through it when it's too late. Second, they use incremental migration patterns that keep your current system running smoothly while the new architecture comes online. Take note of this. If your vendor isn't doing these 2 exact things, run the other way. Anything else is literally just a rewrite dressed up in modernization language.
Here is our highly curated roadmap of proven problem solvers for today's Explainer. 1. The modernization trap. 2. Solving AI code debt. 3. Workflows and technology assessments. 4. Enterprise scale and incremental UI. And 5. Our top 5 vendor comparison.
Section 1. The modernization trap, finding the right tool for the job.
Section 2. Solving AI code debt, DBB Software.
First up is DBB Software out of Krakow, Poland. If you're looking for serious, enterprise-grade support without the massive enterprise bloat, their starting projects sit at a highly accessible $25,000. And with rates capping at $49 an hour, it's no surprise they hold a flawless 5.0 clutch rating and were named a clutch champion in 2024. They deliver for heavy hitters like JLL, Ford, and Philips, offering long-term engineering support from a team that will actually still be right there with you in year 3.
Now, what's really interesting here is their vibe coding cleanup service. You know when developers let AI generate massive blocks of code and it magically ships to production without a real architecture review? Yeah, that is a massive new category of technical debt for 2026, and DBB has built a specific service line just to untangle it. For older, conventional legacy systems, their pre-built AWS cloud modules can actually cut delivery time by 50%. Using AI to compress code assessment and generate migration scaffolding translates directly into much shorter analytical phases. So what you should really take away from this is, less time analyzing means your actual migration work starts months earlier. Section 3. Workflows and Technology Assessments, Velvetech and Keyhole Software.
Velvetech operates right here in the US, splitting their talent between Florida and Chicago. They are a fantastic sweet spot for mid-market companies and enterprises alike. You get local US oversight, which is particularly crucial for complex Azure to AWS cloud migrations, but you get it at incredibly competitive rates of $25 to $49 an hour with a $25,000 minimum entry point. It's a formula that's earned them a stellar 4.9 clutch rating.
Velvetech sequences legacy modernization by prioritizing workflow automation first. Basically, they look at what can be automated on top of the existing system before they even touch the underlying architecture. That produces faster business value for you, while the longer, heavier migration work runs completely in the background in parallel. Shifting gears over to Keyhole Software out of Kansas City. They're a premium US-only delivery team, so expect a higher entry point at a $50,000 minimum and hourly rates up to $149. But with 15-plus years of architecture replacement under their belt and the prestigious title of Top App Modernization Service on Clutch, you are paying for absolute, serious, seasoned expertise. Their secret weapon is an obsessive technology assessment before writing a single line of code. They absolutely will not start re-architecting until the existing system is honestly mapped out, evaluating coupling patterns, integration surface, and technical risk.
Look, I know paying a premium rate for a rigorous upfront audit might sound a bit pricey at first, but I promise you, it is infinitely cheaper than discovering a fatal architecture flaw 6 months into an engagement.
Section 4. Enterprise Scale and Incremental UI. Ness Digital Engineering and Taazaa. When you need massive enterprise scale, you call Ness Digital Engineering. Operating globally out of the US, they take on major initiatives starting at $50,000. With over 1,000 engineers and more than 80 successful enterprise modernization programs completed, they literally have the firepower and the 25-plus years of legacy transformation expertise to tackle the largest, most complex systems on the planet.
Ness Digital Engineering excels at delivering data and AI capability as part of the modernization architecture itself, not as some separate engagement tacked on after the platform rebuild. Think about it. When a legacy system contains 25 years of embedded business logic, replatforming it while simultaneously building the data and AI layer that will drive your future decisions, that requires a team that can seamlessly do both at the exact same time. On the other end of the scale, we have Taazaa out of Cincinnati, Ohio. If you're a mid-market company staring down a 15-year-old Java or .NET monolith, their $25,000 entry point and highly accessible $25 to $49 hourly rate make them an incredibly attractive partner. And that's backed up by a 4.9 clutch rating across 28 verified reviews.
Their approach brilliantly illustrates a React layer-first methodology. Instead of the terrifying freeze and rebuild approach that usually produces massive cost overruns, they build a modern React UI and API layer directly on top of your old system. You keep generating revenue without any disruption to your users, and they just swap out the heavy back-end plumbing completely behind the scenes when it's totally ready.
Section 5. Top 5 Vendor Comparison, Matrixing the Modernization Experts.
All right, here is your cheat sheet. 5 completely different approaches to modernization. DBB Software handles your AI code debt and compresses those timelines. Velvetech automates workflows before even rebuilding the architecture. Keyhole Software obsessively audits everything up front to eliminate your risk. Ness Digital Engineering brings massive enterprise AI scale to your legacy rebuilds. And Taazaa swaps your UI first to protect your revenue while the backend migrates. It's all about finding the exact puzzle piece for your specific operational mess. Ultimately, the right fit depends entirely on your constraints. So I'm going to leave you with this final thought to reflect on. Which of these strengths matches the modernization program you are building next? Take a good hard look at your codebase, your actual budget, and your timeline, because understanding what you actually need is the very first step to a successful launch. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning and keep building.